Where you from?
Yeah, man, that's where I be at every day.
This you be at every day. God damn, man. We right here live on the south side, 23rd of Savannah. Man, tell me about this motherfucker, man.
When 23 Rackz was on the rise, he was moving heavy with a crew called the Z. The Z was part of a bigger force in the DMV streets known as Fox 5 Gang, and they had the whole city buzzing for years. Rackz built a tight bond with a dude from the Z named Glock. They were solid at first.
On my own, for real, since a young nigga.
For real.
Yeah.
Facts, man. Facts, man.
How we coming. Niggas got a lot to say, they don't know none though.
But when money got in the middle, that bond snapped. That fallout became the spark that allegedly led to 23 Rackz losing his life just when it looked like he was finally about to escape the hood. Rackz's upbringing wasn't easy. His mom and dad weren't in the picture, so he was bouncing from place to place, crashing wherever he could. Sometimes he stayed with his older sister.
Yeah.
Backstory about it.
So you saying you lost your mother at a young age and shit?
Yeah,
Damn.
my mother a couple years ago and shit.
Oh yeah, man. Condolences, man. What about your father, man? Your father was in your life too?
He in there a little bit.
Other times he posted up with a dude who repped 23rd, but that spot wasn't just any crib. Word is, it was a stash house holding over 10 racks in cash tucked away inside. That's when the drama exploded. A dude from the 37th named Whites allegedly slid into the crib and snatched the stash, and that move lit the match to the whole situation.
Yeah, facts, man. But really, honestly, you kind of like raised yourself for real, man. At a young age, though, man. Was that hard for you? You know what I'm saying?
Some days, shit.
Some people say the money wasn't even Rackz's, but belonged to his homie he was staying with. Either way, the streets were whispering that Glock was tied up in the mess. And if Glock really crossed Rackz's homie, then Rackz could never stand beside him again. For Rackz, making it big in rap was always about one thing, getting out of the trenches. But all that changed when the streets turned cold. After the drama with Glock over the missing money, the beef only got bloodier.
23 Rackz said the first thing he wanted to do when he blew up in the rap game was make it out of the hood.
First thing I would do, let me get the fuck out of the hood.
Glock hit the streets looking for revenge, sliding on the ops. But in the middle of the action, Glock caught a bullet to the arm. It ripped through his artery. Before anyone could help, he bled out right there. At first, the 23rd and the Z weren't even beefing like that, until Glock got killed. That's when everything flipped upside down. Rackz took to IG disrespecting Glock and even dropped his own location. He was chilling deep in the 23rd territory, probably thinking he was safe on his home turf. But he had no clue shooters from the Z were already watching his every move. Not long after Rackz posted his location, the hit came down. Shooters from the Z pulled up in broad daylight and lit him up. Reports say after he got hit, somebody dragged him into an apartment while waiting for help. But by the time the ambulance and cops showed up, it was too late. 23 Rackz was gone. The DMV shook to its core. He was young, he had motion, and he was right on the edge of making it out. Rackz already had a record deal, he was performing at shows, and even bigger names in the game, like Whale, had started showing love. After his death, his community rallied together in heartbreak. At his funeral, they carried his casket through the same streets he came up in, a powerful reminder of how fast a dream can get snatched away in the DMV streets. Glock was the one who allegedly snatched the stash from the crib where 23 Rackz was staying, but he didn't even live long enough to see how bad things would get. By the time Rackz himself got gunned down, Glock was already gone. Then, just a couple months after Rackz's murder, word spread that Whites, the same dude tied up in that stash house mess, also got taken out in a wild, chaotic scene. At first, the streets thought Whites getting dropped was straight revenge for 23 Rackz. But when the truth came out, it was way darker and way crazier. Reports say Whites got into it with an older OG from the hood. Things went sideways fast. Whites allegedly pulled a gun on the man while he was standing there with his kids. That's when the OG made a call that shook the block. He allegedly put 30 grand on White's head. He was ready to pay somebody else to handle the job, but before the deal could even go down, it all ended in a shootout. That shootout turned the streets into a war zone. The OG and Whites clashed, and Whites was left lifeless in the middle of the street. When cops arrived, they couldn't believe what they were looking at. Shell casings everywhere. Reports say they counted 53.40 caliber casings, 13 from a 5.56 rifle, 8 from a 9mm, 8 more from a .357, and 9 from a .45. The scene was pure chaos, and in the end, White's was riddled with bullets. Another man, Juan Wilson, was also killed in the crossfire, leaving the whole hood in shock. But here's the twist. White's death had nothing to do with 23 Rackz's murder. Instead, new details surfaced that blew the case wide open. The same gun that killed Rackz was later tied to another killing, the death of a woman named Ceda Williams. But her death wasn't about gang politics at all. According to reports, Ceda was murdered by her own boyfriend after an argument over cheating. When police arrested him, they ran ballistics on the weapon and discovered it was the exact same gun used to kill 23 Rackz. That's when people started piecing it together. The killers who took out Rackz must have tossed or sold the gun because it was way too hot. Ceda's boyfriend even told police he just found the gun walking home from work. The DMV was spiraling. Bodies were dropping and connections between murders were starting to link in shocking ways. The crazy part? Police might have never solved Rackz's murder if one of the alleged shooters hadn't popped up again. Rumors swirled heavy in the streets, and one name kept coming up. A dude from the Z called GBG Lil Active. People whispered that he had a hand in Rackz's death, and then he added fuel to it all by dropping a diss track, rapping about Rackz's murder and mocking the exact spot where he died. It was a bold, disrespectful move that had the whole DMV talking. Been watching that store, the feds in the lot. They keep making raps, but they still ain't get back. Them dudes ain't standing on business for shh. And I got hit in my chest, I ain't fall on the floor. I just lost me a friend, I ain't never been poor. Niggas, man, get cracked and they keep making songs. He got hit with that shh. He ain't making it home. That wasn't just random bars. That was GBG Lil Active spitting straight disrespect. Dropping lines like that right after 23 Rackz got murdered took the beef to another level of cold-blooded. Instead of laying low, Lil Active went full throttle, mocking the pain of a city that had just lost one of its rising stars. And the violence didn't stop there. A few months after Rackz was killed, Lil Active doubled down. He and his crew slid on the ops again, this time spraying up a corner store in broad daylight. But here's where it gets wild. Cops were already circling the area, so when shots rang out, they spotted the getaway car and gave chase. Lil Active jumped out mid-flight and tried to take off on foot, but he didn't get far. Officers caught him trying to duck off inside a crib. At first, he was only booked for the drive-by, but then the case flipped upside down. His homie's own father ended up cooperating with the cops, pointing the finger and tying Lil Active directly to the 23 Rackz murder. Police had already gotten their hands on surveillance footage from the block that night. It showed 3 masked shooters, all in black, walking up towards the spot where Rackz was chilling. On the way, one of the shooters even stabbed another person, a move that had everybody whispering that Rackz might have been backdoored by someone from his own hood. Then came the smoking gun, Lil Active's own lyrics. On his track Last Diss, he rapped, "Fin yo bitch, her P was Ocean. She gave me the drop, and you know that Shover. He had got stats. Go ask what I told him. Factory Glock, he got hit with a boulder." Those bars weren't just rhymes. They lined up with the events around Rackz's death, making the streets believe he was basically confessing in plain sight. According to reports, after dapping up another dude on the block, the shooters kept moving down 22nd Street straight towards Rackz's location. The craziest part? Rackz wasn't unarmed. He actually had a gun on him that day and was ready if things popped off. But what he didn't expect was the ops sliding directly into his own territory, right after he'd exposed his location on IG. When Lil Active and his homies spotted Rackz chilling outside, they opened fire from the gate and hit him twice. Even worse, there was a child outside when the bullets started flying. That detail shook the whole DMV. Not only had the beef claimed a rising artist, but it also put innocent lives at risk. As the shots tore through the block, chaos erupted. 23 Rackz stumbled over a child in the middle of the gunfire. Thankfully, the kid didn't get hit. Rackz, bleeding badly, tried to run, but the wounds were too deep. His strength gave out, and he collapsed on the pavement while blood poured out. Meanwhile, the shooters bolted, and that's when a nearby Ring camera caught something shocking. them arguing with each other right after the hit. One of the masked shooters panicked and started running, only for his partner to snap at him. "Walk, oh my God. If I get locked up because of you, bro, stop running. Fuck, you throwing me off. This is why I don't do with you, bro." That moment revealed cracks in the crew's loyalty, and it was about to backfire in the worst way. Turns out one of those masked gunmen was GBG Lil Active's homie Rico, and the wild twist? Rico's own father ended up being a key piece in taking the whole crew down. Word got back to police through an informant that people in the streets were asking Rico's dad straight up if his son was the one who killed 23 Rackz. At first, his dad wanted no part of it, but eventually he gave police critical help, allegedly pointing Rico out in the surveillance footage himself. And while cops were chasing leads in the Rackz case, Rico was already tangled up in another murder. Just a month before Rackz's death, on April 12, 2022, Rico had been picked up in a stolen whip with his homie. They slid over to the 2200 block of Savannah Street, where Rico hopped out and let shots fly. When the smoke cleared, Clayton Marshall, a man some called an OG in that area, lay dead. According to cops, Rico wasn't even aiming for Marshall. They said he was simply caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. But on the streets, the story was different. People whispered that Marshall's status as an OG might have made him a target. What made it even more haunting? Clayton's own brother had been shot and killed almost in the same exact spot years earlier. When police finally brought Rico in for questioning about the Marshall killing, he cracked under pressure. Before detectives even asked about 23 Rackz, Rico nervously brought up the case himself, exposing his own guilt without realizing it. The cops leaned in hard, and when they started showing him surveillance footage from Rackz's murder, Rico couldn't hide anymore. He even pointed himself out in the video. At first, Rico tried to spin lies, saying he wasn't there and didn't have a gun on him. But every time, detectives hit play on more footage that showed he was capping. With every clip they rolled out, the walls closed in tighter, until Rico had no choice but to admit his role in the night 23 Rackz got killed. Rico finally cracked. After lying over and over, he broke down and told detectives the truth. He was strapped up that night. He even looked the cop in the eye and said, "Yeah, man, I'm sorry." At first, he swore he wasn't anywhere near the spot where 23 Rackz got killed. But once the police rolled out more surveillance clips, he couldn't run from it anymore. "That's me. I can see that. Obviously, that's me," he admitted, basically signing his own fate right there. But that wasn't all the cops had on him. When they dug into Rico's phone, they found the receipts. Him and GBG Lil Active planning out the hit the same morning Rackz got murdered. The texts were coded but clear. Lil Active told Rico to grab a joint, which police say was the gun, and then asked about finding some eggs, meaning bullets. Later, Lil Active bragged to him that he had 11 eggs. Sure enough, investigators recovered 11 casings from the crime scene where 23 Rackz lost his life. The digital trail told the whole story. Even with 2 separate murder cases hanging over his head, Rico still managed to catch house arrest. But instead of laying low, he made another dumb move, got caught with a gun, and landed himself right back behind bars. Then the hammer dropped. In December 2024, the feds unsealed a massive 33-count indictment against Rico, GBG Lil Active, Moneybag Heafy, and 2 more of their homies. The charges tied them to multiple killings, not just 23 Rackz, but also Clayton Marshall, and even an innocent teacher named Bryce Deasy, plus that reckless corner store drive-by. The story of Bryce Deasy hit the hardest. He wasn't in the streets. He was a school teacher who also drove Uber on the side. On the night he was killed, Bryce was just dropping someone off at Shipley Market when a stolen Jeep pulled up and unleashed over 70 rounds trying to hit an op. Bryce got caught in the crossfire and lost his life. A tragic reminder that innocent people always pay the price when the beef spirals out of control. When it came time for courts, all of them pleaded not guilty at first. But by May 2025, things flipped fast. Rico and GBG Lil Active pleaded guilty to murdering 23 Rackz. Their boys, Davion and DeMarco Robinson, pleaded guilty to the corner store shooting. Rico also admitted to killing Clayton Marshall. For that, he's now facing 23 years in federal prison. GBG Lil Active could end up with the same 23-year sentence. Davion Robinson is only looking at 10 years max, while DeMarco's case is messier since he's fighting another federal indictment at the same time. As for Moneybag Heafy, he's still battling the case tied to Bryce Deasy's death. Rumors are flying that somebody else from the Z might be snitching on him to shave down their own sentence. There's no paperwork yet proving anyone flipped, but prosecutors say they already got plenty of evidence linking Heafy to the shooting. The feds might have the killers behind bars, but the damage is permanent. 23rd and the Z have been locked in a feud ever since Rackz got killed. What makes it even more twisted? Before the murder, Rackz was so cool with the Z that people thought he might actually switch over. He was also moving with a set from Uptown called CHV, and even dropped a track with Top Soldier called 3 to the V. On that song, Top Soldier rapped, "Facing with Rackz and we running the South Side. I am the king of the North and that's Uptown. Hit me a knee, his body was never found. I really come from the gutter, the underground." Even crazier, 23 Rackz himself shouted out GBG, aka Get Back Gang, on the record. He stamped it, saying, "Nan, you know how the fuss I'm coming? Nan, come push up on me. I ain't hard to find. Push up or get pushed up on. Get Back Gang, Nan." But not long after those bold words, Rackz was gone, murdered in his own section. His death flipped everything upside down. The Z and 23rd, once linked, turned into enemies. Some CHV dudes even started smoking on Rackz's name after he passed. GBG Lil Active was just starting to buzz in the rap game, carrying the Z on his back. But instead of blowing up the DMV with 23 Rackz, he's now locked down, facing decades in prison for taking him out. If they had linked up, they could have built something massive for the city. Instead, their beef destroyed it all. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.